Khadijah Aniago. I started with Carla Aniago. Later, after becoming a Muslim, in 1999, I added Khadijah. So that begins the journey, right? So I'm going to talk to you about something called creating your own magic, lessons of the magic hand, okay? So what's the magic hand? The magic hand is something that happened when I was 8 months old, living in New York City, where I'm from. A cousin, a very distant cousin, came to New York to watch the kids for my mom. She went out to vote in the national election, and this woman, who I didn't know, took my hand at 8 months and held it on a radiator. And this became the magic hand. This became the magic hand. So, okay, and I will show you. That's me as a little girl. And so this is the journey, the childhood trauma, but the journey turned into this magical experience. Okay, starting with my mom, who decided that she committed herself to making sure that I was going to have full function of this hand. So she searched all around Manhattan, and she tried to look for different children's hospitals that was going to be able to give me full function of my hand. Thus, we found HSS, Hospital for Special Surgery. Oh, sorry, that's not it. It's the next photo. Wait a second. Okay, that's HSS. It's located on the Hudson River in Manhattan. Okay, so this turned into quite an experience. At Hospital for Special Surgery, I met all different kinds of children. I met Valerie, who had no arms and no legs, but she had hair down to here. And every day I would braid her hair. I met Donna, who was predicted pretty much, she was suffering some kind of severe disease and she was expected to die. However, Donna's optimism was contagious. So through these people and through these experiences started the journey of the magic hand, okay? So one of the messages is just learning about, thinking about your struggle compared to others. It can be very small. You may think that you're having this big, horrible, horrific experience, but a lot of times, well, all the time, it's based on your view. Whatever obstacle you have, now you have this choice, whether it's going to be, whether or not you're going to make it the magic in your life, or is it going to become the obstacle that kills you? Okay? Dun, dun, dun. Where are we? We're going too fast. Okay, so some of the early experiences that I had that helped to reinforce the magic hand and embracing positivity and embracing gratitude started with my experience at Catholic school. So I went to Catholic school in Brooklyn, New York. No one was Catholic in my family, but it was the great private school option that was reasonably priced, a safe place for kids with a good education. But for me, again, it started this experience of connecting with people, cultural diversity, and this appreciation of life. So at the Catholic school, this is where I met Jenny Wong, who was a Chinese American friend of mine, and her father owned Chinese restaurants in Chinatown, and he would close them down, invite us for lunch, and we would feel very special because we would have these private lunches with Jenny Wong and her family. That's where I met Michelle Quimina. Michelle Quimina was a Haitian American, and when I would go to her home, it was quite different from my home. And at her house, you would find candles and little altars and altars that showed photos of her family that probably have died. But she was my friend, and it became just a cultural exchange. Throughout everything, each step of the way, if you embraced it, as some of you students have mentioned earlier, you have this opportunity to just continue to get richer and richer and bring the magic into your life. Continuing, 14. At age 14, my family decided enough with New York, with Carla Khadijah. This is not a good place for her. The real thing that was said by my grandmother was, Carla's too soft. They didn't feel like I was tough enough to be in New York. So off I went to South Carolina with my uncles. And then this started, I call it the nomadic adventure. This is the beginning of my nomadic adventurous life. So off I went with my uncle. I had opportunities to become a cheerleader. I went to 3 different high schools. I did the debutante ball, where you learn how to dance the waltz, and you get introduced to society at age 16. So it was a completely different life that I began to live when I changed and moved to the southern part of the country with my uncle. And again, really, for some children or for some people, it may have been very difficult to do these things. But remembering that beginning experience, remembering where I started as a young girl in the hospital, doing 8 different surgeries, having to navigate and get along with people from various backgrounds, you learn to adapt and continuously learn to be flexible and maintaining that appreciation for the life that you're in. So that was the 14th, that started the nomadic life. See, we're already at the end. That's not where I am. Okay. Next led to the journey of faith in London. I call it the Faith in London journey. So at 17, I decided, you know what? I want to go to undergraduate school in London. So thank God for my father, who said, I like that idea. And I registered for university, the American University in London. My father handed me a pocket full of money, and off I went. But what he didn't know, and what I didn't say is, I didn't know where I was going to live. I didn't have an accommodation. But it goes back to that faith and believing in your personal magic. Your personal magic. So on the plane, on the trip going to London, what I did is I prayed. I prayed the entire way. I prayed, please protect me. Please show me the way. Please help me when I get there. Because, wallahi, I didn't know where I was going to stay. So everyone told me, once you get to London, this is what you do. Go to Victoria Station. That was the only instruction that I had. When you get to London, go to Victoria Station. So my 17-year-old self said, okay, when I get to London, I'm going to go to Victoria Station. Prayed the whole trip, arrived in London, took a taxi, went to Victoria Station. Who was at Victoria Station? This tall brother with long dreadlocks. I came up to him. I said, hey, listen, my name is Carla. I just got here. I'm looking for a place to live. He said, really? Where are you from? Brooklyn. He said, oh my God, I'm from Brooklyn. He was a student at Oxford University, from my home. He said, come on, I know someone who needs a roommate. We hopped on the tube, went to Amanda's house. Amanda's this British girl. As soon as I walked in the door, I knew we were soul sisters. And we became soul sisters for life. Okay? The magic hand, and believing that the impossible is possible. Believing that the impossible is possible. Next step. Okay, I will continue. States, got married, had a few children, at home with the kids, and I said, I think I want to go to graduate school. And everyone said, impossible. Impossible how? You have 3 little kids. my husband at the time said, no, it's not a good idea. And I thought, it is a good idea. So I went to the university, Clark Atlanta University, with $3. And I decided, you know what? Today I'm going to register for graduate school. So I went to the university. The first administrator was a woman. I don't remember her name. She came out and she told me, impossible. How? How are you going to pay for it? You have 3 little kids. You don't have the time to commit to a graduate studies, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, thank you. And I decided I wasn't leaving. Wallahi, this is a trip. I said, I'm not leaving today. I'm not leaving this university until I'm in this university. So I ended up speaking to the next person and the next person and the next person. And finally, I made it to the vice president of that department. And I sat with the vice president and I explained my whole ambition and intentions. And he said, okay, first quarter you pay. If you exceed, if you excel, the rest of your graduate studies, scholarship. So what did I do? I excelled. And I received a full scholarship for my master's degree. And once again, the magic hand, appreciation, having faith, believing in the impossible is possible. So from this, it just never stops. If you acknowledge, if you're able to identify and acknowledge all the daily miracles, because we all have them. You have them every single day, right? The daily miracles, then you'll see the magic in your life. You know, so graduate school, then I decided, okay, you know what? I think I want to leave the country and work. I want to go work. My degree was in international development. I'm going to leave. And everyone once again said, how? You have the 3 kids, you have the husband over there. What are you going to do? How are you going to go? So I decided, I started applying to different organizations, etc., got accepted. Off we went to Guinea, West Africa, up in the Fouta Djallon, where they didn't even have taxis. There were no taxis, there weren't any buses, and there we were, me and my small little kids, loving it. It was absolutely beautiful, okay? And this is the place, just in case you're wondering, this is where, so just to note, this is a very Islamic area in Guinea, West Africa, right? And so every day, these old women would come and get me to carry bottles of water to the masjid. I wasn't really sure why. All I knew is that I was honored, like, oh, you're coming to give me the call to carry the water. So I knew it had to be something special. So they would come and get me, come on, you're gonna carry the water. So I would carry the water to the masjid with a smile, knowing that this is something special, okay? So I kept doing this. And then I started to learn about Islam. And then I understood what was going on. And then I saw how these people lived, and they lived the religion. They lived the religion through their kindness and hospitality. And here's the example of how. So while living in the Fouta Djallon, there was one family there that they called the Christians. It was the only Christians in the whole neighborhood, okay? So they would go, oh, and the Christians, they're the only family in this village way on top of the mountain. I was way on top of this mountain. I was so high on the mountain that my ears would crack like you're on an airplane. So anyway, the Christian house that had the only telephone, one day I got a phone call from the United States. I went running, and then I got the news that my father died, okay? So my father died, and by the time I hung up the phone, once again, wallahi, this is the truth. By the time I hung up the phone, droves of people were coming to my house to make prayers for my father. That night, the imam made dua for my father all throughout the village. The magic hand, the magic hand. Further, listen to this. While I'm living there, One morning, okay, I'm in the Futa Jalo, West Africa, way on top of this mountain with one telephone. No taxis, no buses, okay? Enjoying life. One morning, knock on the door. I open the door. There's some people standing there. They asked me who my father was. I explained who my father was. They said, yes. Then you're his daughter? Your father in New York City helped our family. Get out of here. How did this happen? How do you know my father? They explained this whole story of how my father helped their family and did all this work, etc. Please come with us. We want you to live here. They took me to this big, beautiful home and said, here, please, live here on behalf of your father. Is this magic? Is this, okay? And it's always believing that the impossible is possible. And so, I can take you through many, many, many more miracles just by the fact that I'm standing here in Al-Hassa. Do you want to know why I'm standing here in Al-Hassa? I'll tell you. So, I think it was before Al-Hassa, I lived in Malaysia. I worked in the villages of Malaysia with students and teachers. I did teacher training, etc. Beautiful experience. Another Muslim country. I kept having this opportunity to strengthen my knowledge, strengthen my iman, and living with people who actually lived Islam. It wasn't so much of a show of Islam, more than it was people living the Islam. Okay, so I'm in Malaysia. Wallahi, this is the truth. I'm in Malaysia, minding my business, and I started looking online, and I saw this beautiful college in Al-Hassa. And I looked at it and I said, wow, what a beautiful college. That was it. That was it. I kept going. I kept going. Later, this brother said, you know what? You should go to Saudi Arabia. You're going to love Saudi Arabia, and they're going to love you. And I said, really? He said, really? He said, really? I said, really? I applied for this job out of a company in Holland, got hired, came to Al-Hassa. Guess where I was working? At the college that was on the internet that I thought was a beautiful school. I have a best friend here in Saudi Arabia. She's my sister. And every time she said, Khadijah, I'm making dua that you can come back to Al-Hassa. How? I get a phone call from my friend, Dalila, who's in France, who says, somebody else is looking for you. They want you to come back to Al-Hassa. Boom, here I am in Al-Hassa. The power of the magic hand, which has, when you have obstacles. So I just want to remind you, Banat, because you're all so beautiful.